how to be a powerful networker as an introvert. And I think this is really, really important. People tend to confuse the fact that, well, if you're in business, you're going to be, it's naturally, you've got to be an extrovert and you have to be out there and you have to be performing. And nothing could be further from the truth. About 30 to 50% of all people are naturally introverted. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily shy. Maybe they are, but it just means that they work in a different way. I'm quite an extrovert, but also at times I find very much I'm an introvert. It really depends. And I think we have times where we can be more comfortable as an introvert and more times we're more comfortable as an extrovert. Some of the great minds and some of the business leaders of today are all introverts. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, to name just a few. And they actually have incredible strengths as an introvert. And so this is really important. It's something that I think is a great gift. And I think you often find opposites attract. My wife and I are very different. I'm very much more on the extrovert. She's much more on the introvert. And the things that she notices and sees and observes with people and situations and what's going on around is way beyond what I am. But I work in a different way. And she looks at things which I don't see, and I see things that she doesn't necessarily see. And so it works as it goes very well. So my name is Andrew Cooke. Just to briefly introduce myself to those of you who I don't know, and it's my first time to meet. Absolute pleasure to be here tonight. I run Growth and Profit Solutions. I'm a business coach based in Perth. I've been here since 2000. Originally, as you can probably guess, I'm a POM. And came over here on holiday, stayed, and then fell in love with a local girl and had never left. And I absolutely love it here. I absolutely love working with small businesses. I've been doing that for 12 years and really helping them to be all that they can be. It's really important. Small businesses are absolutely fantastic and it's an untapped wealth. And I really want to help people unlock their potential, both personally, professionally, and in their business. In today, what we're going to cover, well, I really want to have a look a bit what is the current situation when it comes to networking for a lot of people. And I think often for people who may be a little bit more introverted. I want to share with you also a number of tips that I've come across from what I've seen, observed, and talking with other people as well about how, if you are naturally more of an introvert, can you network more effectively? And what is it all about? We'll then do a bit of a brief summary and we'll then have some the next steps. Now, before we go any further, has everyone had the chance just to download the book, the workbook for tonight? If you could just put yes or no in there, that would be good. Just put it into the chat. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Yes or no? Yeah, Bernie's got it. Fantastic. Bryn, Christina, Ellen? No? Okay, well, if you, I'll put it in here. Again, if you want to do it, there's nothing too different in what's there to what you're seeing on the slides. So don't worry if you can't, or if you can't get it till later. Okay, so let's have a look at what the sort of the current situation is. But before we do that, I'd like to share with you a quote which really, really resonates with me. And it's this. It's from Richard Kiyosaki, who is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Brilliant book, written many, many years ago. And if you haven't read it, it's something I would highly recommend. It's a great book. But he says this, he says the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. Now, this is one of the things about networking, and sometimes people don't like it, and I get that, and it can be quite tiring and it can be quite cumbersome. But networks are about relationships. And people never buy from businesses. People buy from people. So if you can build up a great network or with other people, you will actually find that the work will come to you more easily. but it's not a given. And the other thing also about networking is it's not just all about you. And we're going to talk a little bit about this later. It's about others. But this is the point. Having a good network who know you and understand you and can relate to you can be a massive asset for you, which you can then use to help yourself, to help them, and to help others. And it really is a question here of not how much can I get, but how much can I give? If you give, you get. It's a real karma thing. And the more that you give, and the sooner that you give, and the more generously you give without expectation, the richer it is. So what's the challenge? Well, if we look at the challenge going ahead for a lot of people, there are really three frustrations that I see regarding this. The first is, it's busy out there and everybody is, networking hard, but it all doesn't seem impersonal. You get these groups of people who all seem to be out there for themselves, and they're much more interested in themselves and what you can do for them than others. And this picture sort of sums it up for me. Everyone's sort of talking very loudly and having a conversation, but it's not with you, and it's really about themselves. It's a real turn-off. I don't like that, and I've come across people. I'll share one story and one anecdote regarding that. Many years ago, I was at a networking event, and this woman went around very briefly introducing herself, thrusting a business card into people's hand and saying, look, if you've got any work that we can do for you, then just give me a call. And walked off and then had exactly the same speech for the next person. At the end of that event, all her business cards were on the floor because it was all about her. She had no interest in anyone else, and it came across in spades. The second thing is that for a lot of people, especially if you're naturally more introverted, it's very frustrating. It's a very uncomfortable process. My wife, as I said, she was introvert. She's much better at having quieter conversations with people, not being in a big group where it's noisy and it's loud. And it's when it's like that, it can be very hard and it can be a really uncomfortable experience. And as such, it saps your energy. And the third frustration that people have is that because it's sapping your energy, it's tiring. And it's really hard to be yourself and to be all you can be. And it literally sort of gives you a headache. And I must admit, I've sometimes had some networking and I'm just thinking, I'm exhausted. Now, I'm naturally more of an extrovert. And if you're more of a natural introvert, I'm sure you can probably feel it, you're probably feeling it more than I am. And so if these things come together where you're feeling it's hard work, it's an uncomfortable and tiring experience, then there's this fear that some people have of networking. And I get that. And it's totally understandable because you're going into a situation where you're not comfortable, you don't really like it. Why subject yourself to it? Well, let's turn it around because there is a massive opportunity here. I think the opportunity here is really to see what is the potential, the upside. We talked a moment ago about why networking is all about creating wealth and riches and opportunities, not necessarily financial, but those relationships. So what we really want is we want to be able to network. Why? To help create, uncover opportunities, not just for yourself, but also for others. And you can do this through networking. Networking, if you do it right, it is a generous thing, not a selfish thing. It is about creating connections with people. And you know those times where you just really connected with someone. And I don't know, there's something that you have in common or whatever, and you just know those people for ages. Those are connections that can happen. And they do happen on a regular basis, but only if you give yourself the opportunity and possibility for that to happen. The other thing that a lot of, the real opportunity, what people want, is you want something to be comfortable. It's where you're having those conversations, you're enjoying it, it's a pleasure. And think of the best conversations that you've probably had. Let's say the last week or two might have been with a relative, might have been with your partner, could have been with a friend, but it's where you're just so present and with each other, and it's so enjoyable. The conversation flows, it's not stilted. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. And if you can have it like that, that's when you can really enjoy the network. And then it's when you can actually come out of such situations and you're energized. Rather than being depleted and sapped of energy, you come out and you just go, yeah, I feel great. And it picks you up. And suddenly it all feels great. So if these things can happen for you, then naturally what's going to happen is you're going to get connections. Connections really come to relationships, and relationships create opportunities. Opportunities here, it might be a business. It might be just for a friendship. It might be for some other kind of thing. It might be for the opportunity for you to introduce them to somebody else who they might be able to help, or who may be able to help them. But the thing is here is you're engaged, you're getting results, and you're enjoying what you're doing. And I think this is really important because, yes, networking can be hard, but it can be also an incredibly powerful tool that will work for you and energize you and give you some real value. So to you, and I'd be interested if you put in your chat, what's important to you about getting it right? So what's most important to you about getting it right? We covered a few things there on the opportunities and on the chat and challenges. What is it? Just type right now into the chat box. Kim, Christina, Helen, Bernie. I'd love to see what your thoughts are. Ellen, sounding authentic. Absolutely. There's only one of you. And when you come across authentic and as to who you are, that's just so powerful because you resonate with people. Bernie's saying the connection at the end. Absolutely. And it's a connection which is just the start of the process. And you don't know where it's going to take you. And this, I think, is the exciting thing. And I love it when I go out and I'm talking with people because I never know what I'm going to learn or how I might be able to serve them. The doors are always open. Kim, being a sole trader initially, it would be nice to have a network too of people who understand. Absolutely, Kim. I'm with you there. I'm a sole trader as well. And it's about building your tribe, building people who can empathize, not necessarily sympathize, but can empathize with you and with whom you can share ideas and insights and experiences to help each other along. And I think that's absolutely crucial. And networking can help you build that team, that tribe. So some great points there. Thank you. So what I'd now like to sort of really just share with you are some 9 tips that I have. Now, look, there are many tips here, things that you could put there. These are ones that resonate with me, and I'll explain why, and I hope they resonate with you. But at the same time, I'd be really interested as we're going through this, what your thoughts are. And if you've got questions regarding any of this or things that you'd like to share, then put them in. All right. It's great. We've got years and years and years of experience and ideas and insight here. So let's tap into it. It's not just about me talking. It's about your sharing. It's about you creating a bit of a tribe for a short time with the other 4 people who are also on this call with you. So the first thing is, if you want to sort of get the most out of networking as an introvert, set your agenda. What is it that you want to achieve? And where do you want to do the networking? Now, networking for its own sake it's meaningless. You've got to have a purpose, a reason. And to be honest, the more unselfish you are with your purpose, the better it works. It's counterintuitive, but if you go out there to serve, others will come to you. Those who look to get, they're going to be seriously disappointed. So if you have a clear agenda of what you're looking to achieve, it makes it easier for you because you've got a clear path. You could, you can go out there. Remember, it's okay to ask for help with other people, even strangers. And actually, sometimes that can be the best. You're not necessarily asking them for some deep personal guidance, but you're asking somebody for some advice or some ideas. And one thing that I've noticed that works incredibly well is when you use the phrase, I'd be interested in your advice on, because people love to give advice. And I think this is one of the great little phrases. You've probably already got a number of them where you can trot out some of these phrases which will engage the other person so that you can start to listen to them and understand them. And similarly, some of these, when they're used on you, they will get you to open up. So think about that. As we go through this, please share any thoughts and ideas in the chat, okay? I've got it open and we're keeping a track on it, so please do that. This next thing is find what I call your introvert superpower. And introverts have, are so strong in so many ways. One of the things is the great listeners. A friend of mine, his wife had a party. She's an absolute social butterfly. And she had a lot of people around, various organizations that she was involved with, and people in business and all this sort of thing. And her husband, my friend, was an absolute introvert, very successful businessman, but he's naturally introverted. So for him, parties are horrific. So he was quite happy just sitting down on a couch, just watching the world go by. And anyway, one of his wife's friends, acquaintances, cornered him and sat down on the couch and started having a conversation. They talked for about an hour and a half. He reckoned he probably asked 4 or 5 questions only in that time. The rest of the time he was just making them, he was encouraging her to talk. And, At the end of the party, when this lady was leading, she turned around and said to his wife, he said, "Your husband is an amazing conversationalist." I just laughed. I laughed when he told me that. I love it. But again, great listening. It's one of the things, somebody being heard by someone else is absolutely powerful. If you're good at that, you've got a gift. One of the other things that's superpowers that you might have, you can be really good decision makers. Why? Because you listen and you contemplate, you take your time in making decisions. You're not slow, you're considered. You go deep on things. So you're aware of things on a lot more deeper level. You're not content with the superficial. You get to a depth of understanding, which can often be beyond other people. Not because they're not capable, but because they don't have the attention span. And in doing this, you can have, as my friend did, a meaningful conversation. Doesn't mean that you have to talk a lot. You build in this way, you can build incredibly close relationships. Often I find that, it's the quality of the relationship that matters. It's not the quantity. I used to live as an expat in the Middle East in the mid-90s. One of the things that I found there was it was very much a transient society where you made many acquaintances and few friends. And that's one of the things I didn't like about it, because it was very difficult to get those meaningful relationships. But the people that I did, and this is nearly 30 years ago, I'm still really good friends with. So you can see how it can carry through. Other superpowers that introverts have, the deep thinkers. They think through things from multiple perspectives and think around it. The great observers, they see what's going on or what's not happening or how people are interacting, especially my wife is really good with that. And they've got a natural eye for detail, which others often don't. So again, find your introvert superpower. You probably have 2 or 3 which you use on a regular basis. So you know you're stronger. Use them to your advantage in helping to get to know other people. The next one is to converse without talking. And I just shared with you that, thank you, Kim. I'm glad this is empowering you. I converse without talking, and I shared that story of this friend of mine who had that long conversation. And it's an interesting thing. I think I may have to try this one day to see how long I can have a conversation without actually, starting to really contribute, but contributing in a way without saying things. And, often I think, again, from my wife and other introverts I know, the one-to-one conversations are much more comfortable. They're much deeper. They're much better. And plays much more to your forte. And I think the other thing is that knowing this, that people are often like this, will play to your strengths. Often cold calls are not comfortable if you're more introverted. You dislike them, and I get that, because there is that feeling of sort of being rejected, and where it's not really, it's just that the person doesn't see the need. So if you can have warm introductions, that's a great way of getting to build your networks. Now, a quick tip here. You can't always reach the people that you want to talk to. However, find out who the people are around them and work out ways so that you can get introduced to them and you get to know them. Eventually, you'll find that there will be a time when the person that they know will have some kind of need. They will be able to help introduce you. So that's converse without talking. So we've had set your own agenda, we've had find your introvert superpower, and now we've had converse without talking. The next one is about adjusting your mindset. So this is really about how are you looking at networking and what it's all about. And I could change maybe some of the part of the ways. I could change the language, because the way that you language something influences how you think. So don't change it. Think about it as networking. Look at it as meaningful relationships. I don't want to network with people. I want to create meaningful relationships. Totally different things. I don't want to be in an environment where it's all about self-interest. I want to be in an environment where it's all about supporting others. And I don't want to be in an environment where I'm finding myself scared. I want to be in an environment where I'm curious. Can you see that if you go in there using that kind of framing, it makes an incredible difference? Henry Ford once said, it doesn't matter if you do, or if you find it, do it, or it doesn't matter if you don't, either way, you're right. Slight misquote there, but what he was essentially saying is, you will find what you look for. If you find a reason to be scared, you will find that reason. But if you look for a reason to be curious, you will find them. And suddenly You are creating opportunities. You're creating abundance for yourself. The one after this is about making connections. And this gentleman may not be well known to you. It's a guy called Dale Carnegie, who wrote the book How to Make Friends and Influence People. And this was in something like the 1920s, I think. It's freely available. But this quote just says it all to me. He said, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Wow. Tell me, does that resonate with you? Just put yes or no into the chat. Yes, it resonates. No, it doesn't. Just put it in. What do you reckon? Ellen, Christina, Kim, Bernie. Yeah. And isn't it interesting? I think, you know, we all find, absolutely, says Kim, we all find that we've met people who are really good at talking about themselves and they just turn you off. A friend of mine, he caught up with a chap that we both know just a few years ago, and all this guy could do was talk about himself and what he was doing. It's all. They were out for dinner together, hadn't seen each other for years. And he was so relieved when over. This guy wasn't even interested or pretend to be interested in my friend's Tom's family. Didn't even ask. Doesn't work. Another great quote from Dale Carnegie was, yeah, sweetest sound to any person is the sound of their own name. Using people's own name to them in conversation is a great way of engaging them. So remember that. So don't forget, it's get interested in others first. Then they'll become interested in you. The next one after this is take a break and recharge. Now, there are times when you just get absolutely exhausted from the networking. I've been to networking sessions, and to be honest, I've either left early or I've just gone out and just sat down somewhere. Sometimes I just need a break. I actually physically remove myself and have a quiet time. This can be especially true if you're on longer events, like it's a 2 or 3 day conference. But I think it's, it's really important, because if you try and force through when you're tired, you don't come across as to your best. It's harder for you. It's less effective, and you're not as authentic as you are. Ellen said earlier about being your authentic self. If you're tired, you start making mistakes and you just don't come across as well. So recognize when you need to do this. It's not a weakness. It's actually a sign of incredible strength that you know that it's the right thing to do for you. And there are 3 steps that you take when you do this. What I do is I'll just remove myself. And the first thing I'll do is I'll review, just mentally in my mind, review what's just been going on. Okay. I'll then just take a moment out and I'll rest. Just clear my mind. It's only for a few seconds. It doesn't have to be for long. And then the third R is I reset. I say, right, now I'm ready to go again. I'm curious. I want some meaningful relationships and I want to know how I support people. Well, let's meet someone and see what I can do for them. So the 3 R's are review, rest, reset. Really, really useful to have. So remember, just take a time. There are times that you just can't do it, or you're not feeling well for it, or up to it. I get it. The 8th tip here is this. It's about challenging yourself. Now, it can be very, very easy to stay in your comfort zone, but the problem with comfort zones is nothing happens. They are stagnant. And to grow, you need to go beyond where you are now. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. Yes, you can fail, but yes, you will learn. And when you learn, you will grow and develop. And it's not about a question of doing everything at once. It's just bit by bit, which we'll cover in a moment. So you mustn't let your fear dominate you. You may find it really uncomfortable in large crowds or big crowds. Well, then find out a smaller group within that, but don't let your fear dominate you. All right? If it does, it makes you play a smaller game when you could be so much greater. So rather capitalize on your fear and let it be the catalyst for the change for yourself and in what you do. So if you could change your expectations, your mindset, you change what you do and how you act, then you change your performance, your results that you get. And if we look at this, this is kind of what it looks like. You can see that if you want to go out of your comfort, you've got to go through a zone of fear. But once you do that, you actually start to learn. And once you start to learn, then you move into growth. And this is so useful. And if we just stop off within the comfort zone, you can see we've suddenly missed out on all these things that we would otherwise have missed out and maybe never know. And that is a travesty. The next one is about taking baby steps. Now, people say, and I've had conversations, I just don't like networking. Well, I get that. But just take a small step. Go to one thing. Try this. Okay? You want to make it bite-sized chunks. Don't try and eat the thing whole. It's just not going to work. All right? But you just have bite-sized chunks so that you can confidently take them. It might be uncomfortable, but you can take them. Because remember, it's not about how far you've got to go. It's about how far you've come. You've got to celebrate. And we don't do enough of that. We're not kind enough to ourselves, so we should do this more. In doing that, I'll share with you the thing which I call the 1% rule. Now, the 1% rule is very, very simple. If you improve 1% a day, then after 70 days, you are 100% better. I'll say that again. The 1% rule is this. If you improve 1% a day, after 70 days, you are 100% better. Isn't that marvelous? So it's just small incremental steps, take them regularly. You'll suddenly see that you come a long way. So if you are networking as an introvert, go to a small event, somebody. Have another go networking, go and have a coffee with someone. Try some different things, mix it up, but make it fun, make it enjoyable. And I think one of the things here is you need to practice this every day. People say, well, I'm not going to go to networking events 7 days a week. I'm not talking about that. It's as simple as just sort of reaching out to people you might know, saying, hey, just touching base, how are you doing? Having a conversation. It could be as simple as a conversation at a water cooler or in a queue or something of that sort. But it's just a question of practice. It's about making connection, getting to know someone, and opening up. And the more that you do it, the more confident you will become with it and the better you will be. The final thing that I'd like to look at, and the 9th tip, is have quality over quantity. It's not about the number of people that you know, it's about knowing the right people. But there's a trick here. Everyone thinks that networking is about you going out and meeting the right people. But it's also about making sure that the right people know you. You may not have thought about it that way, but it's making sure that you get those relationships and those connections so that others can get to know you and everything about you. The extraordinary person that is you, and all that entails. So quality over quantity is absolutely crucial. I talked about when I was an expat. A lot of people, it was all about the quantity of people that they knew, not the quality. Sorry, left me cold. But maybe it worked for them. I don't judge them for it, but I just couldn't get it. So we've gone through very quickly 9 tips. Let's go back so we can see what they are. The first one, set your own agenda. Give yourself some clarity and some purpose so that you know where you're going to go, what you're going to do, what you want to achieve, all right, and how you can serve others. It's about finding your own introvert superpower, and there are many, whether it be listening, meaningful conversations, deep relationships, thinking deep, so on. It's about being able to converse without talking. It's making sure that you can have a great conversation with someone with only saying minimal number of words. This same friend of mine, his wife one time picked him up from the airport, and it was a 45-minute trip from the airport to his home, and he reckoned his best trip ever is 26 words. His wife has now got wise to that particular game. Fourth one, about adjusting your mindset. Okay, going from scared to curious, going from networking to meaningful relationships, and all these sorts of things. New mindsets drives new results. And then I love this, Dale Carnegie. Be interested in others, genuinely, authentically, truly, and deeply interested, and you can make some great connections. Take a break and recharge. You can't be on the go all the time. It's just not possible. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, I find the same. So don't forget, take that time out. Whatever you need to do that. Don't use it as an excuse, though, to avoid or procrastinate. Okay? So don't forget, what you do is you review, you rest, and you reset. Challenge yourself. So this is going through that, using fear as a catalyst for change and improvement and growth and learning in yourself, so that you go out of that area of stagnation where you feel safe and control to where you find your purpose in growth. Take the baby steps, 1% a day. After 70 days, you're 100% better. So take it slowly, lots of practice. And then finally, quality over quantity. It's not the sheer number of people that you need. I know people who have 30,000 people on LinkedIn. Why? I would much rather have 50 people who are the real quality, the right people who I can serve. So out of those 9, what's been most valuable for you so far, and why? So just put up into the chat. I'd love to hear from all of you, please. We've covered a great deal. What's been most valuable for you so far, and why? Was it changing the mindset? Was it baby steps? Was it conversing without talking? Changing the mindset, says Bernie. Kim, I really like the mindset change, scared to curious. Alan, mindset. Isn't this interesting? And I think this says a lot to me. We are the biggest barriers to our own success. whatever that might be and whatever it might look like to you. If we can get out of our own way, think of what you can achieve. Just imagine that if you could be all that you wanted to be, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it and have anything that you wanted, what would it be? I talked earlier when I first introduced myself, it's about having the greatness within and unlocking that, helping people unlock that potential. You have it. I don't know you all, but I don't have a single doubt that you have it within you. And that's something that's really powerful. Adam's just put in the power to influence people. Absolutely. And your power to influence people comes from your self-belief. Your self-belief is related to your mindset. So great point. Thank you. So we've covered quite a lot. It's now a chance, if you've got a Q&A session. So any particular questions that people have or would like to ask at this point? Love any questions that you've got. Maybe over the tips, you might want to ask a question that's got more information on certain things. Far away. Okay, we'll give it another 30, in case you're typing through frantically. All looks good. Okay. All right, well, I'll assume then for the moment that there are no more questions. Still far away. Oh, you had the answer. I had a session about networking before and a good conversation. Great. Bernie, thank you for tonight. No worries. You're more than welcome. If you'd like to talk to me further, just text me the word ASBASWA to 0428 479 700. I'll send you some information, and you can, if you'd like to book a session with me, really happy to talk. I'll also put just quickly back into the chat, okay, one more time, the download for the workbook. So please feel free to download that. And again, it just gives a summary of all the slides as well, so you should have something. That was really helpful. So Ellen says, starter, it was, I am printer, what do you think I do? Sorry, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I see, right, yeah. I'm with you now. You printed it off, great. Kim, that was really helpful, thank you. Do you know of any books as well on this topic? Okay, there is an old one, but it is a very good one, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is by Dale Carnegie. I'm just typing it in. It's an absolute classic. I read it years ago, and it's really recognised as a bit of a Bible. I would use that. There are a couple of others. There is one I came across, which was about something quiet networking. If you do a search, there is a lady now. I haven't read this book. I only came across it the other day. She's written on networking and introverts. So she might be, that might also be a source. So have a look there, and you can just see what you find. I'd be interested, Kim, to hear from you about what you do find and what you find useful. I'm always looking for new and more sources of ideas and information and experiences. So please share it. Okay. All right. So again. So look, if you do want to reach out to me, then please do. These are my contact details. So do take a moment to just make a note of my mobile and my email, andrew.cooke with an E at business-gps.com.au. And you can get me on my mobile 0401 842 673. That's 0401 842 673. Ellen says, what does everyone do on this chat? It's basically, Ellen, you can, what's everyone doing? They might well be. So Ellen, it's an opportunity to have side conversations if you want to share your thoughts and ideas on what's being shared, etc. And you're right. You never know who's been on here who might be your next best friend. You might have many coming through for this. Okay. Okay. If there are no more questions, I will bring this session to a close. I would like to thank you all very much for coming along this evening. It's been great to see you. I'll be running more sessions on other topics over the next number of weeks. So I'm doing them regularly, so please look out for them on the Business Station website, under the ASBAS events. And yep, I'll look forward to seeing them. And please reach out and let's talk soon. Many thanks. Have a great evening. Cheerio.